thank you so much for having this cocktails and conversation. Calsin with Molecular Food and Cocktails is joining us and actually made our cocktails. You mind telling us what this deliciousness is?
Absolutely. So this is a version of a French 75. I like playing around.
We love it.
So I like playing with that. You know, I just take the classic recipe of, you know, lime and syrup, champagne, and then just add whatever is seasonal or moody or whatever the theme is. So of course, this is a holiday drink. I had to do an apple cider and cranberry French 75.
So,
so if you have apple cider and cranberry on top, you got yourself a holiday drink.
Gosh, it's so good.
Yeah.
You also have the champagne because it's like,
yes, it's like, yeah.
it's like our drink.
Top it off.
Part of why we're all trying to get together is really chat about just how the pandemic has affected you and maybe shifted your business mentality, the way that you do events, life.
So it's a total 360, obviously, and I feel like it's that for everybody, right? So the biggest lesson for me was I really had to learn how to be versatile and just flexible and kind of like roll with the punches. Because I knew pivoting, everybody was doing it. You know, it was like an experiment for everybody. So I tried some things that worked, some didn't work, but obviously for what I do, it's meant to be very experiential and interactive. So COVID definitely kind of like totally flipped that over the head, right?
A little bit.
Because 6 feet apart doesn't quite necessarily say interactive, right?
It doesn't translate as well.
Right. So I kind of just had to configure the business to a more kind of like DIY, making a cocktail kit that goes with my branding, my science branding, and lets the DIY mixer experiment at home. So I designed the kit, and so I started doing kits, and then with that came the virtual cocktail hour options, where I can mail the kits, you book me for a cocktail hour, and we get to do the cocktail experiment.
So in terms of what lessons you may have taken from COVID, is there anything that stands out in terms of like something maybe you're hanging on to that you don't want to let go of after we get back to a more normal environment?
That's a very good question. If I had to really think, it really pushed me to the edge. Like I had to be super creative when your back's against the wall, because I feel like pre-COVID, you just want to remain with the safe ideas. You don't want to try new things, but if it's survival it's swim or sink, then you have to think outside the box most of the times, right? So just you have to be comfortable to try something knowing that it might fail or it might work. So I think that attitude is what I hope. You know, I don't lose if we go back to normal, right? Just to be, you know, really bold and experiment with ideas that might seem like crazy or out of the box, but you know, not really just go with what's traditional or classical, you know.
And that's how we learn, right? We
Right.
do experiment a little, see what works, what doesn't work.
And then what doesn't work, and then you make it better, or you decide it's not something you want to keep doing, right? Yeah. How has it been for you guys? You know, as entertainers, can you probably share that with? I'm really curious.
It's been different.
It's been different.
Yeah.
It's been very different, just keeping, you know, COVID restrictions in mind, trying to keep people distance. Because for us, the most important thing is, of course, to, you know, help make an event be as incredible as possible. But with these restrictions, how do we keep our people safe? How do we make sure that we're taking care of them, that they are okay? And, you know, making sure that we can still perform at the levels that we're used to. We just kind of get creative with creating different groups and figuring out just creative solutions to still have the same end result, but just keeping all of these new things in mind that we have to think about now.
Yeah. And I think being flexible is probably the biggest thing, is like, we can plan on something that happens in a month, but since everything is changing day by day, I think it's really about flexibility, because when you get to that event, if you're within a week and things are changing, we got to shift.
Or even on the spot. And in fact, because I'm with food and drinks, like I do a lot of ingestibles. So that's the other piece that I had to deal with. Like in the beginning, we were not sure how COVID was transmitted. So there was all these rules, new rules that, about how you serve, like, and because I do a food, not like a station type of thing where, we're presenting and playing with the food in front of the audience. So that in the beginning was like a no, right? Because everybody was like, no more buffets, nobody, you know what I mean? So I was like, how do I, change with the times and just still do that? Of course, now events are not booking. I don't get to test that. But it's one of those things where if you're doing an ingestible, so catering companies or anybody who does food, that's almost like an added layer of protocol that you have to think about.
Well, we will all get through this. And, and I hope that we can actually have more discussions like this, because I think it's helpful for us as partners and having relationships in the industry to really lean on one another even more to figure out how to get through this.
Right, exactly. And I feel like if you, as a community, if you're all in sync, then it's not like a guessing game. So that, everybody's safe and you don't have, you kind of like minimize the risks.
Well, thank you for joining us. And thank you for our cocktail.
Cheers.
Yes.
Yeah.